The Abbé sank upon Edmund's bed, while Edmund himself remained standing. Escape had never once occurred to him. There are, indeed, some things which appear so impossible that the mind does not dwell on them for an instant. To undermine the ground for 50 feet, to devote 3 years to a labor which, if successful, would conduct you to a precipice overhanging the sea, to plunge into the waves from a height of 50, 60, perhaps 100 feet, at the risk of being dashed to pieces against the rocks, should you have been fortunate enough to have escaped the fire of the sentinels, and even, supposing all these perils passed, then have to swim for your life a distance of at least 3 miles ere you would reach the shore, were difficulties so startling and formidable that Dante had never even dreamed of such a scheme, resigning himself rather to death. But the sight of an old man clinging to life with so desperate a courage gave a fresh turn to his ideas, and inspired him with a new courage. Another, older and less strong than he, had attempted what he had not sufficient resolution to undertake, and had failed only because of an error in calculation. This same person, with almost incredible patience and perseverance, had contrived to provide himself with tools requisite for so unparalleled an attempt. Another had done this all. Why, then, was it impossible to Dante? Faria had dug his way through 50 feet. Dante would dig 100. Faria, at the age of 50, had devoted 3 years to the task. He, who was but half as old, would sacrifice 6. Faria, a priest and savant, had not shrunk from the idea of risking his life by trying to swim a distance of 3 miles to one of the islands. Douame, Ratonneau, or Lemaire. Should a hardy sailor, an experienced diver like himself, shrink from a similar task? Should he, who had so often for mere amusement's sake plunged to the bottom of the sea to fetch up a bright coral branch, hesitate to entertain the same project? He could do it in an hour, and how many times had he, for pure pastime, continued in the water for more than twice as long? At once Dante resolved to follow the brave example of his energetic companion, and to remember that what has once been done may be done again. All right, if this was a video game, this is the moment Dante gets his energy tank refilled right before the boss battle. You could just see his health bar go all the way back up to 100%. I love that. He has new resolution. He has a goal to set his sights on and his actions to. He can see it to completion. I have confidence in him. Of course I do. He's our main character. Who else are we going to have confidence in? In a way, this is commenting, I think, a little bit inversely on the mental torture, the mental imprisonment that Dante has been in since he's been imprisoned, because he's acknowledging that, like, all of those things you don't even acknowledge as a possibility when you are in this situation. It's simply just the brain can't comprehend the time it takes to dig, the time it takes to get through to the other side, the risk of not being shot, the risk and courage it takes to dive perhaps 100 feet, 10 stories into the water below, and not the luck it would take to not get dashed across the rocks. But if you can do that, then he's like, well, I've dove to the bottom of the sea just for fun. I've swum 6 miles rather than the 3 it takes to get to the nearest island. I could do that part. So he's now seeing, like, the hardest part is what's right in front of me. And if I can get past that, man, I could fucking do anything. Hell yeah, Dante. This is a new chapter for you, but not really, because it's still the middle of chapter 16, and a new chapter won't start for a few more days yet. But, I mean, a metaphorical chapter in your life is starting right now. Maybe the book of your life is not the book of the Count of Monte Cristo. It's some other book that's in your head, Dante, and this is a new chapter. You are now entering chapter 17, which we have yet to do yet on this show. I'm losing my mind a little bit. I'm sorry, folks. We have passed the halfway point of chapter 16. We still have about 5 more episodes to go, so I am curious where this is going to cliffhang us this time. Do we think the Abbé is going to feed off of Dante's infectious willpower to escape and join forces by the end of this? Maybe he doesn't want to escape now. Maybe he has, like, forget it, man. I've done what I can. I'm old. I'm 50 years old. Oh my God, that's so close to what I am. To be fair, I mean, at 43, I wouldn't be digging for 3 years. That just seems like, as long as I have a book in my prison cell and I could just sit there, lie in the bed and read all day, like, whatever, man. I don't need to dig for 3 years. So good on the Abbé for working that hard. But anyway, maybe he is like, yeah, I've done my attempt, and Godspeed to you if you want to attempt yours. I'll help you, I guide you, I'll mentor you, but like, man, my arms are tired. I can't dig anymore. Who knows? I guess we'll find out as we continue with this chapter. I'm gonna pause and just I'm going to give my book recommendation that I've been talking about for the last couple episodes. But, a little bit of feedback would be nice. I don't want to deviate from what you're interested in with superficial things and superfluous things. So if you aren't into this extra book chat stuff, let me know, and I won't do it anymore. And you know what? The way you can do that is you can join our Gruntwork Podcast Network Discord. There is a entire chat open there for discussions about this book, about this podcast. And you can find that over on our website. The invite is there. You can join. We would love to have you there. We just had someone join, and the discussion has started. I'm very excited to hear all of your reactions and responses. This is open to anyone. You don't have to join our Patreon to gain access to it. That would be appreciated if you did. But I just want to speak to y'all about this book, about where we're going, feedback from you, what you'd like to hear from me. So you can get that Discord invite. You can check the show notes. They'll be there. They'll be on the website. They're all over the place. So you can't miss it. If you want to join the Discord, join the Discord. I'd love to have you there. Okay, let's finish up this book chat stuff. I've been really into Greek mythology. And I've been very interested in a lot of these modern retellings of stories through usually a feminist lens. I'm thinking of Madeline Miller or Natalie Haynes has been writing stories, about Medusa or Circe or the story of Achilles through a slightly different lens. And I've always been fascinated with the Greek myths. These are just a new way of adding perspective and layers and depth to them that weren't there before. And in my quest to find more and more books of that sort, I was starting to browse like some of the fringe recommendations of like, okay, well, I've heard of all these authors. Who are some others that I might not have encountered before? And it had come up that Susanna Clarke, who had wrote Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, not to be confused with Monsieur Morel from this book, but this thick book about magicians in England in the 1800s, had written this other book called Piranesi, and the cover has this little faun playing a flute, and it's about a labyrinth. And I thought, oh, okay, cool. This is going to be something Greek mythology adjacent, and I can have my little fix for the week. But it turned out to be something way different than Greek mythology. I mean, it's not Greek mythology at all, outside of just very big themes of, minotaurs and labyrinths and stuff like that. But even that, it's not really part of the story. However, I haven't encountered a modern author that writes in such big mythological terms the way that she has in Piranesi. I haven't read Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell yet. I am very curious to now. I understand it's very different than Piranesi, but it is a story told in first person from a character that has maybe a faulty memory, so he's not a reliable narrator, and you're piecing together this story of what happened between him and this other character that is in this inexplicable other place with lots of corridors and statues, and the tide comes in and washes, the corridors, up to the ceiling at times. It's very evocative. It's very imaginative, and it's a page turner. I loved this book. It has really nothing to do with the Count of Monte Cristo, but if you like kind of the fantasy side of mythology that doesn't veer into like the dragons and fantasy romance stuff that's out there, which no problem with that. Just like, I feel like this lane is far, far less traveled. And one that I am particularly interested in, and I have a hard time finding stuff like this. Highly recommend Piranesi. It really captured my imagination, and I don't recommend books to people that often because I feel like everybody has their own to-read pile, and it's impossible to ever get through it. How do you prioritize anything? So I'm always like, yeah, cool. I liked this book. And if you are interested in this stuff, maybe you would too. This is one that I'm actively recommending to people Piranesi, Piranesi, by Susanna Clark, Clark with an E. And if you've read it already, let me know. Hop on the Discord. Let's talk about that, too. We can have all kinds of book chats. It doesn't just have to be about the Count of Monte Cristo. I love books. I love reading. So look for that Discord link in today's show notes, on our website, anywhere you can find the Countdown of Monte Cristo. Let's pick up here tomorrow with more Chapter 16 as we head towards the end. Until then, I'll see ya. Okay, goodbye. 183. The Countdown of Monte Cristo is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. This show is produced, edited, and hosted by Landon Solano. The original text of The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. Theme song by Magic Solo. If you want to support the show and others like it, visit patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.